Hello, this is the story of evolution, told with the assistance of this timeline, which I call When. These are the buttons for navigating the zooming in and out. These are for shortcutting, bottom ones. This is how you zoom in. Click on there to zoom out. And this is the geological timeline, going backwards in time. Back. This is time before the Earth was formed, so 13.7 billion years ago. Lots of energy cooled down to form into quarks and electrons. Quarks join together to make protons and neutrons. Neutrons and protons join together to make nuclei. Nuclei join together with electrons to make atoms of hydrogen, etc. Stars create the rest of the elements by crushing the atoms together under pressure, and nuclear reactions in the pressure and heat cause bigger atoms to form. These stars then explode into supernovae and then collapse into second generation stars. So these second generation stars are made up of the heavier elements, therefore they can have planets and they can have complex molecules which can copy themselves. Complex molecules can cause catalytic reactions, which means they can affect other chemical reactions near them. And a lot of catalytic reactions produced something called cellulose, which is a substance which cells are made of. The first cells being bacteria. Amongst them is the archaea, their descendants. When certain bacteria cells started living inside the archaea, that gave rise to the eukarya, which is cells with a nucleus, and other cells living inside them, examples being single-celled ancestors of the seaweed, plants, animals and fungi, all of which are single-celled at this point. So let's have a look at the last billion years to see how the animals evolve. So the animals start off single-celled, then they start to live together as sponges, and then they form into a jelly type body. Then they form a middle layer of cells inside, which makes a mesoderm. Second mouth is a formation of the shape of the tube. Then we have the spinal cord and brain, chordates. Then we have the spine, which is originally made of cartilage, vertebrates, the jaw, then the lungs, followed by the limbs. Then we have toes, and we have amphibious frog-like creatures, and then we have, going on to land, laying eggs on land, which is the first reptiles. Synaptids are reptiles that are mammal-like reptiles, and then the mammals. So let's have a look at the last 100 million years, see how the mammals get on. Meanwhile, the dinosaurs are there. So the mammals are diversifying. First of all, we've got the Eutheria, which is marsupials, then the Eutheria, which is placental mammals. And then we have the primates, followed by the simians, which is the monkeys, the old world monkeys, which is the ones in Africa, evolving into apes. And then amongst the apes, we have hominids, which is the ape line which leads to humans. Not the great apes, in other words. So let's have a look at the last 10 million years. Now, during the last 10 million years, the hominids evolve into lots of different types of Ardipithecus ramidus, who walks on back legs, followed by Australopithecus afarensis, Homo habilis, who uses stone tools, and then Homo ergaster. So these are all different types of hominids evolving over 10 million years. Homo ergaster in the last million years gives rise to Homo erectus and Homo neanderthalensis. Erectus gives rise to Floresiensis, Ergaster goes on to give rise to Heidelbergensis, and Heidelbergensis goes on to give rise to humans, which is Homo sapiens in Africa. So the last 100,000 years. This is all happening a little bit late, I'm afraid. Sorry, the details aren't exactly right. But anyway, humans in Africa. They start migrating out of Africa. They end up in the Middle East, which I've called Southwest Asia for some reason. They end up in South and Central Asia. Then they make their way into Oceania and across to Australia. They find their way into Northeast Asia. Meanwhile, they get into Europe. They end up in North America, then down into Mesoamerica, and finally down into South America. And the world is now full of people. Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and Homo floresiensis, meanwhile, go extinct. So let's have a look at the last 10,000 years and see how people get on all over the world. So here we have at the top, we've got Africa. Sorry, it's not labelled. Then we've got the Middle East. So this is Africa. That was Egypt, by the way, we just went past. Then we've got Europe. This is the Middle East. So this is South Asia. Sorry about North America not working for some reason, don't know why. Mesoamerica works. South America works, okay. So that's civilizations evolving, or if you like, arising all over the world. Let's have a look at the last sort of... Oh, sorry, yeah, this is another way of looking at it that I've devised, where you can look at basically the sort of the whole world in terms of states evolving in chronological order. So you can see what happens, how much stuff's happening, basically how compact things are. You can see things aren't really happening a lot there, and then things really start to take off, and everything's all happening at the same time almost now. If you imagine this long line, it kind of goes on. So it goes on into the last 1,000 years, which is sort of the Middle Ages onwards, second millennium AD. These are sort of years ago, not dates. So you can see like from like 1,037 years ago, that is, as opposed to dates for some reason. This isn't finished. So those are empires which came to power and fortitude during the sort of last 1,000 years, roughly, as depicted on here. Please excuse any errors and any inaccuracies in my homemade, unsubstantiated, unreferenced, unprofessional, and completely and utterly incoherent, let me rephrase that, incoherent timeline project. This is the 20th century, and dare I say it, these are empires and states which, these are ones that have obviously spanned from before the beginning of the 20th century and will go beyond 2007, which is when the data goes up to, because this is when I first sort of created this version, which I am still editing now, and I've just started editing it again now. That's why it still represents ideas from then, and it stops at 2007. So the data is not that exciting. It's all about states. There's nothing else on there, like any kind of cultural history or technological history or anything like that. 1990s. That's the story of evolution as told by Wen, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I didn't talk too fast. And if you want to read any of it, please feel free to pause the video and read my crazy writings. And I hope you have a very nice day, and I wish you all the very best. Good evening.